get that music going a little more? Just a little bit more real quick, get it going. Man, is it cold in here. Wow. Somebody say mang. Mang. We did that in harmony. This is the Vector. Give me a Vector real quick.
The Vector.
The Vector.
Tell your friends about the Vector.
All I had today's pre-show routine, a doppio con panna from Starbucks, and a shot of cod liver oil.
Okay,
That's all that's running through the veins right now.
That's
all
really,
I'm on.
really good for you.
And you got to keep things, like when you do this, you got to keep it like loose where you're not bogged down with food. Anything you do high performance, at least in my own little mind, it's got to happen with like an empty stomach.
Yeah, that's
some
what I hear.
caffeine, some cod liver oil. Sounds normal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we're going to get into it because you know what? The Vector is all about tips, ideas, lessons, and observations. And the reason I remember that all the time is because the mnemonic in my mind is, LIDO. Lessons, ideas, tips, and observations. LIDO. That's the only way I can remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I've had a lot of people tell me ever since they heard about the Vector, they've said, you got to do it on starting your own business. And that was never really the purpose or the intent of doing this. This was all about fun and about Lido, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
a lot of people have said, like, I want to, you got to do the thing about starting your own business because it's something you've done a lot of talking about it, a lot of involved with a lot of people doing that, and it could be helpful to people. And so we're going to do that today.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the idea of starting your own business, I think that's one of those things that like most everybody at some point in their life, the lightning bolt goes through their mind, like I should start my own business, like I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously I'm biased because I think it's a great thing. It's a life-changing thing. But I really would like just to put this up, throw out some context around the mindset of starting your own business. What's that mindset all about? And some of the things that might help people actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a mindset that I think that everybody has. I call it the amazing human.
Mm.
The amazing human is it's generic, okay? It's just saying that, I don't know when it starts. For some people, it starts when you're like 5 and you want to be like the best kid in kickball, like in kindergarten or something. I don't know when it starts. Like, I don't know if is it in your DNA? Are you born with it? Are you not born with it? All that. But the bottom line is, at some point, the context that you're living in starts to be a voice in your head that says, I want to do something that makes me exceptional.
Mm.
In fact, I was on the phone with a pretty successful entrepreneur in the last couple months. And she was saying to me, like, I want to be exceptional. Like, I got to get this to the next level, or else for me, I won't view that as me being exceptional. So I call that the amazing human. And what I mean by that is we all want to do something while we're on the planet that hopefully is a positive, leaves a positive footprint.
Yeah. Like a legacy.
A legacy, exactly. A legacy. That's a good word. But also just like that leverages the gifts I've been given, what I think I'm capable of doing, what I think I'm good at, what I have a passion for, all those obvious things. But really, at the end of the day, it's like, I would love to be one of the people that is viewed as like doing something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in sports and in show business and in, the theater, there are a lot of, venues where, whether it's the arena for sports, the theater, movies, politics. I think the things that are in our eyes, the things that are most available to us in terms of who the stars are, we think of those people as like the amazing people, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
hopefully we also agree, like heart surgeons, people that are volunteering around the world doing great things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are amazing. That's really, to me, the real amazing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, the bottom line is starting your own business is typically the juice, the energy, what I call the rocket fuel for wanting to have the energy to do that extra level of work, that extra level of care, consideration, and thoughtfulness, everything that goes into starting a company. The first thing you got to check yourself on is how bad do I want to do that?
Okay.
How badly do I want to be amazing? How badly do I want to stand out and be exceptional? Of course, everyone talks about, the benefits of it, the wealth. People think it's all about money,
Right.
making money, start your own business, make a lot of money, or start your own business and have a lot of freedom. And wealth and freedom are probably the two greatest things that you get from having a successful business
Right.
that you own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, though, that you start with like the desire for wealth and the desire for freedom, and based on that desire, you are successfully start a business and you're successful.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it's in reverse. I think if you just have a burning desire to be exceptional, a burning desire to be amazing at doing something that you want to do and you love to do, and you can visualize it and you can see it, then you got to be driven by that. It's almost like you do it for free, actually.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of professions where you don't make a lot of money early.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Or I've heard also that people don't really get any time off because they're working in their sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't manufacture that.
Mm.
So number
Yeah.
one, if you don't feel that, like, you may not be a candidate to start a business. You got to feel something. That's a great point. You got to feel something. I mean, I wrote probably, I swear, at least a dozen business plans that were written. I mean, fully developed, like 35 PowerPoint pages, at least 5 to 6 that were written, completely thought out, and then thrown away
Wow.
before my first one. Not that that means anything other than you're up all night thinking of things
Working.
because I gotta go do this. I just don't know, the timing and how to do it. But we're going to talk about that. So number one, you got to have that burning desire to be achieving something that's in you, and you got to do it.
You said it was rocket fuel?
Yeah, rocket fuel is just, you got to find that source of energy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Makes sense.
it's a 7x24 thing if you really get down and dirty on something that you want to build and grow and scale up as a business.
Mm-hmm.
I have another thing I call the dream makers, because another thing that really can drive you is, yeah, you have dreams for yourself, but you might have dreams for others, which I think
Wow, yeah.
actually is a higher grade rocket fuel,
Right.
better grade. Like,
Burns longer.
burns longer, burns a lot, whatever the right word is. It's just it's a different level when you're doing it for your children, doing it for your family, doing it for your friends.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, and when I say a dream maker, what I mean by that is it, not only for yourself, but with the team that you build around you, you share a mission. You're
Yeah.
part of a team. You're part of a mission. You're part of a journey. You're part of a story,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
You're part of a legacy. You actually can, like, inside this world that you're born into, you get to create something that hopefully has enough success, momentum, scale, that it ends up being life-changing for people. People can live in different zip codes, and they can go to different schools if that's what they choose to do, and they can actually retire in some cases. But more than anything else, really, the bottom line is, like, I can pay for my kids' weddings. I can pay for their college. I might get that second place at the beach. Like, this is just like blocking and tackling of elevating lifestyles because of this, what I refer to as shared vision, shared values, shared wealth. Like, at the core of a leader that's going to build a company, you got to have vision, but your vision really has got to be for everybody.
Yeah. Like I heard you say one time, it really stuck with me. I'm not here to make your dreams come true. I'm here to make your kids' dreams come true. And
Exactly.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
so cool.
In fact,
Yeah.
like it's because I'm going to challenge myself now. I'm saying like I'm trying to go next level. Like I always thought I want to try to find a way through our relationship and you joining my team to make your dreams come true.
Hmm.
But if I'm really doing it right at the highest level, it's can actually even become generational. There's so much success and fulfillment that your kids' dreams start to be enabled.
Yeah, that's
I
powerful.
mean, what's better than that?
Yeah,
Right. So, and
that's
like
some good fuel.
that's
Yeah.
a good fuel.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things, and I call that the dream maker because, well, because what you said, you help people make their dreams come true. So that's a real powerful thing.
Mhm.
It's got to be
Yeah.
in you. It's got to be in you, like just ripping through you, but it's also got to be something you're doing for people besides yourself, and that'll
Yeah.
sets the
Yeah.
stage for natural leadership.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we talked about affirmations already in a previous episode. So it's out there, but like once that's established in your brain, once you got it in there, like, I mean, I know what it is that I want to go do. I know what my goal is. I've written it out. I understand in my mind conceptually, and to the degree I wrote it out. Then those affirmations are critical. We won't get into the details of it. I'd say go check out that podcast. But
Yeah.
affirmations, that's got to start immediately. And that visualization is what moves you from thinking about it on a Sunday afternoon, but not really doing anything, to actually you start to see movement and activities and the things you got to do to get your business started.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the biggest hurdles, and this is one of the key parts I was hoping to get to whenever I talk to people about their ability to start their own company, start their own business, is I think what really holds people up a lot is, and it sounds pretty simple, but like, what am I going to do? Like, what do I do? And by the way, I'm not talking about people that graduate from Yale or Princeton or Harvard, and they're like at an elite school with a pedigree that sets them up to become like someday own their own hedge fund,
Right.
or they work in private equity and they're like buying companies and selling companies. Or I'm talking about like most of us are, which is we are getting through our school years. We're getting through some education of some type, probably, or experience. And we're just at that point. At some point, you could be 25, you could be 45, you could be 55. But I'm talking about like the normal journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
majority of us are, which is from white collar, blue collar, but we grew up in the neighborhood and we're trying to, do better.
We're at the ground floor.
Ground floor.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why people get held up is because they're thinking, how do I know that what I think I want to do is the right thing? Like, and of course there's all kinds of answers for that around do the market research, analyze the market opportunity, analyze what your past experiences are and your capabilities. But I'm gonna come at it a little differently.
Okay.
What I want to say, my advice and guidance would be, we live in today's world, digital world, which is great for the entrepreneur, for the person who wants to start their business, because the playing field has been leveled in a lot of ways. Before, all the barriers to entry really came at a level that seemed to be difficult to overcome. But more and more, the person who wants to start a business can do that because the tools let you look big, they let you operate big, even though you're maybe just getting started. But the number one thing I would say is that the biggest distinction about what to go do is around the difference between a service business, a product business, and I'll even call it like an online business.
Okay.
So e-commerce business.
Mm-hmm.
Because services are a great place to start your first business. And the reason for that is that it's a service. If you think about it, there's a couple things. Number one, a service business, there is the basis of a great service business is whatever service you're providing, hopefully, that is in high demand and you deliver it at high quality at a price that people are willing to pay that is profitable for you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things about service that have nothing to do with that service. Like, in other words, the way that you treat customers, the way that everything about the way you do it,
Mm-hmm.
the way you acquire those customers, the way you treat those customers, those are variables that you can control if you're good at it that differentiate you from someone else doing the same thing. They may have as much or more knowledge in that area, that service area, but you can bring other things that add value to them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to
you?
you?
You can flesh it out in a personal way. You have
In a
control over that.
You can control that, right?
That's cool.
Like if you put two products next to each other and they're the same products, a lot of times people, they go straight to price, maybe how fast I can get it, right? And in the e-commerce world, of course, you know, you're selling, hopefully you're either selling a brand that you own or you're selling many brands of others. But the bottom line is you're competing in that digital world to get wallet share, you know, in the e-commerce space. But as a first business, if you're one of these people that's, you know, listening to this podcast and thinking, what would be like my highest level of probability of success, and it's around a service that you're passionate about, that you know, that you've done before, perhaps while you're working for another company, but you wrap it in your own unique value proposition. You wrap it in what is going to differentiate you from anyone else, which by definition, if you make it your own, by the way, creativity is key here. You got to be creative.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can put that creative wrapper that is got your own signature on it around that service, and the other thing is make it really specialized.
Yeah.
So I call it, I have my own little, you know, game I play with wordsmithing, but like, it's like, I call it like the inner service. It's like, there may be two services that are like the big two services in a particular industry, but you're like, yeah, but there's that one particular specialized area
Yeah.
that it's difficult to find good people to do it.
Right. Right.
And you find a way to get into that service. And you realize, hey, people welcome my marketing. They call me, they seek me out because it's difficult to find because it's such a specialized thing. Now, ultimately, of course, you can branch out into the broader array of services to grow your business. But initially,
Yeah.
I'm saying really highly specialized
Right.
for the thing that you bring, that you know, that you've creatively wrapped into something that brings special value, and you know by definition others aren't doing it.
Right. Yeah. You're willing to go there.
Yeah. So now suddenly I'm not talking anymore necessarily about price or my limitations as a startup. I'm just responsible to deliver this highly specialized service. And the other thing, obviously, about services is that there's not a huge upfront capital requirement to enter into the business.
Yeah. It's sweat equity.
It's sweat
right?
equity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, the kind of businesses that require a $40 million plant before you can start cranking out the product.
Yeah.
Or even if you did contract manufacturing overseas, I mean, just like warehousing and distribution. I mean, those are logistics and operational challenges that are tough
Yeah.
for the average person to start up and fire up.
Right. Right.
But, you know, the services business, it's another thing that's great about it is services lets you do it side by side, maybe nights and weekends when you're doing something else without, of course, jeopardizing or compromising what you're currently doing employed somewhere else. But you can complement it until it overtakes from an income and a time perspective what you're currently doing, and then you switch gears and go, you know, and officially launch full-time into your business.
Right.
So services, now that all that might seem obvious, but like why I like bringing that up is if you think in those terms, we've just eliminated a lot of other different types of businesses.
That's great for people that get overwhelmed by all the possibilities, you know, to narrow it to the most effective field.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I think narrowing, that's a great word because you it's a function of that. That's what leads you to that specialization.
Mm-hmm.
Get really, really, really narrow, really focused,
Right.
highly specialized. It doesn't mean you're going to do that forever. It just means that's your entry in.
Yeah, that's what I was picking up from you is that what's cool about it is you're not saying all the others you can't do. It's just like a really good like a launching pad
Yeah.
to start with. You're like, okay, I can start with services. You know, like
Yeah.
that's great. It doesn't mean that I can't do the other things.
Yeah. Most of these things, it's kind of weird. I learned it. I wasn't smart enough to know it in advance. I kind of learned it after things happened, like in my first company. I learned it because, like, for example, my very first company, I focused on a technology platform called Lotus Notes. This is in the early 90s. And like after 2 or 3 years, when I first launched the company, people, so there's particular colleagues and peers and companies, they say, "Oh, there's the notes guy."
Really?
I was the notes guy. That's as if like even though I for 10 years had done like major, other things that were much wider and larger than just this one platform, but like then I realized, wait, that's a good thing.
Right.
That's brand.
Yeah.
That's brand. That's identity. That's, hey, when I have a problem in this area, that's the guy I call.
And that is to your earlier point about getting into something that's specific that people
Yes.
need, right?
Yeah,
It makes you
exactly.
stand out.
Exactly. So when you have that, when you think you've identified what that is, if you follow that, if you believe in that and follow that, then you're going to have to come up with what I call strategy, structure, and finance. I've always kind of lumped together this idea that we have to have a strategy, and that strategy, how we go to market, will require a certain type of operating structure, and that structure has got to produce a certain level of financial results in terms of earnings, income.
Mm-hmm.
So if you said to me, how do you, what do I view as the first things to flesh out to prove will work? Because again, at the end of the day, remember business, you go to business school, like day one of the first day of business school, what they tell you is, businesses exist to create wealth for its owners. That's why that's the charter, that's the mission of a company.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up for debate. We live in a democratic, capitalistic society where company formations are, that you create a company, and hopefully you are going to create wealth, and you are the owner. So that should be that should ring true and be something you're pretty fired up about.
Yeah.
But fleshing that out, this sounds crazy, but believe it or not, there's people that don't necessarily. I've seen this in other people that I've tried to work with, is they don't necessarily view it as like a critical path item, that they understand how their strategy and their service sold at this certain level under this structure of an organization is going to produce profit.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what is your financial model?
Yeah.
So if you have this much revenue and you have this much cost, this is, the basics, and to deliver that service, and then so much you're going to put into sales and marketing and the administrative costs that you're going to make money as a result. And as you get bigger, you're just going to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously any business that doesn't make money and the end of the day is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Now there are models that defy that. Like, of course, in the SaaS world, you can go 20 years and not make money. But if you're growing top line like 40% every year, investors, onlookers, they're not concerned about making money necessarily right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the way you can fund, the company through debt and equity capital, because people are willing to lay it out there.
Yeah.
Because they know one day this company is going to make a ton of money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They call that the rule of 40. If you ever heard that, the rule of whatever, you pick the number. But the rule of 40 is if I'm growing at 40, I don't have to make anything.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm growing at 20, I should make 20. But if I'm growing at 45 or 50, it's okay if I'm not making the bottom line, as long as I'm, gaining market share, compounded growth rate that's over 40. That's a different deal.
And you can pay the bills, right?
Yeah. Those are different kinds of companies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a services business that's a startup, and you've got to know that you have the capital you're going to need to get this strategy and structure and financial model operational and running so that you can then make a profit and put those profits back into the future growth of the company.
Yeah.
So anyway, strategy, structure, finance. What is your go-to-market strategy going to be? How are you going to do that differentiation? What structure do you need to do it? Initially, it might be like even though it's right now you and just you, or you and a couple people, right? But the ultimate structure can be planned for now, and then you grow into that model.
Okay.
And then the model just gets better and better.
Yeah.
So that's something you have to flesh out. And what I meant before about like what's pretty cool about today's world, like with digital marketing, the big challenge is, well, how would people even hear about me?
Mm-hmm.
How, in the world we live in today with digital marketing, you can run this, as people know, you can start this business out of your bedroom.
Yeah.
And the whole world can still know what you're about, or at least the targeted area you're going after.
Yeah.
So I would be highly energized and encouraged by the new world that we get to live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, between all the paid advertising and the social media and all content and all the other basis of getting your message out. I mean, dude, if that was the 80s or 90s, it was like impossible.
Yeah.
Like back before the internet and before the online world, it was like it was called the yellow pages. Dude, you picked up the phone and just went to like page 1 and started calling. You know what I'm saying?
Like cold calling people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it was.
man.
And when I talk about back then, cold,
Yeah.
it was like ice cold.
Ice cold.
I'm talking like literally. I did that like my first round, because remember that was like pre-94. It's like just pick up the phone and start calling people.
Just calling a company that you think could use your services, and you.
Yeah, I mean some of those secretaries, man, they were like just viper gatekeepers, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like you could call and I did. I called one dude one time every Friday at 4:00 for a year.
Wow. So you got
Because
to know
he
him.
promised me that he would never, ever do business with me, which was like, now this is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Because now I got him.
This is my Everest.
He's going to do it.
Yeah.
So I had a little thing. Back then you had day timers. You didn't have like your handheld phone and all that. I had a day timer at 4:00, and I just went ahead and put it for every week for the rest of the year. Call Bill at the bank.
Oh, man.
The killer of it all, though, is he was legit in like not wanting to talk to me because it probably didn't make a lot of sense to him. But I ended up doing something for him that was pretty highly specialized that he couldn't really find anywhere else. And he was like, I never would have dreamed that you would do this for me. Like, but honest to God,
you burned yourself into his subconscious. Like he just had you back there.
when he finally took my call, he said, you've been calling me like every week for like 3 months. I said, no, I've been calling you every week for like a year.
Oh, gosh.
and then it all came through that. And I love stories like that. 'Cause, are there stories where you call the guy every week for a year and you don't get anything? Of course.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that ended up being a big account for me.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it taught me, you talk about rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, if I could take this guy down, I can get anything.
Right.
So anyway,
Oh,
so you got to
that's
have
great.
all that. The other thing is that people, it's tough. This is tough to do. Just a point to make is, in case you could, like you're thinking back to this podcast, is you got to stick to what you do. So
Okay.
you have to have standard offerings in your service. Like you have to decide, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is that specialized thing that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that call comes in or that opportunity comes up for you to go out there, and leave the zip code and start doing something else,
Mm-hmm.
you got to have the discipline to say, I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can hook you up with another person that can do that.
Yeah.
I can introduce you to a colleague or a professional associate that does that.
Yeah.
But you can't stray from what you do, because everything about the intellectual property, the knowledge, the processes, the specialized offering, everything that you do has got to make you better every day at that thing you do.
That's right.
And the day you get sideways and get outside that focus area, all you're doing is temporarily earning some revenue that diminishes the very mission that you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to have standard offerings that says, this is what we do and we will not do anything else. And at the end of the day, if that doesn't ultimately manifest into a business, then get out of that business and do something else.
Yeah.
But you can't start getting wide early.
Yeah. That's a lot of restaurants I've been to, like fast food places that have a very small menu. That's where I want to go.
Yeah.
And they stick to that. And
You
they're
gotta
like, man, they're good at that.
I mean, and really, if you get into some of the weeds on that, the reason that's such a powerful thing is at the top, brand, right? If I'm feeling like that, if I'm feeling like a Euro, and this place is the best Euro place in the city, then when I get that urge, I know where I'm going.
Yep, the brand pops.
Okay. But the other thing is, from the managing a business in terms of what you're expert in and what you do well, one, you know, the inventory you need to buy.
Yep.
I don't need chicken because I don't do chicken. I do Euros.
Right.
I don't need people that know how to make chicken because I do Euros. I'm not going to advertise for chicken now because I do Euros.
A master of one.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The more disciplined and true you are to the vision and mission that you have for the company, the better you get at it. You're going to be better at it.
Right.
And when people stray, that's when they dilute the very ability to be good at the thing they want to be in.
They're diluting the rocket fuel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not the rocket fuel.
Oh.
The rocket,
yeah.
but that was a good.
Well, yeah.
The rocket fuel's there anyway. What you're diluting is all the important elements of your business. You're diluting your brand. You're diluting your economic model. You're diluting what people experience in your restaurant. Because do you ever go someplace where like they're not really known for the thing you order? Like you go to a seafood place and you order a steak.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was a mistake.
Right.
They don't. Why didn't I just get the seafood? They're a fish house. Why did I go?
Yeah.
Why did I try to get a New York strip at the fish house?
Yeah.
But I'm even talking about whether the services are business services, like technology services, business services, home, like residential home-based services, whatever it is. Especially initially, that highly specialized focused you have to stick to it with standardized offerings and not get strayed away from that. Okay.
Yeah.
Two more things real quick. We'll wrap this up. One is when all those things are thought through, you got to have a business plan. So you'd be surprised how many companies don't have a business plan, meaning for every 6 month or 1 year period, they know exactly what their goals are. Okay. So just like we talked about affirmations, when you're as a person, for the business, we have to affirm on the regular, this is what our revenue goals are month by month. This is what our cost goals are. This is what our headcount goals are. This is what the number of customers that we get. This is everything about what you want to achieve has to be broken down, typically month by month, into a business plan of what you say you're going to go achieve. One, because by affirming it, you're halfway there to realizing it. But also then when the variance from that happens, you can do a variance analysis and say, well, why didn't we do that? We thought we were going to be able to get 5 new customers, but we got no new customers or 2 new customers. Well, why is that? What is the analysis on why those people didn't go with us? Well, this one said we're too expensive. This one said they wanted something that does more other things. I mean, you have to understand because you got to be constantly ready to understand how your go-to-market strategy messaging has to. So I'll give you a quick example. It doesn't mean you have to change what you do, but one of the things might be, for example, you getting a better idea of what we call the ICP. What's your ideal customer profile?
Okay.
What you might learn is what we do is great, but not for these people. The businesses that want what we do, it's this vertical market, or it's this size company, or it's this type of person inside that company. Like, hey, the chief financial officer, they're all about it. But we were trying to sell this to the person that was in the IT department.
Yeah.
It's not going to resonate with them.
Yeah.
And or this company is too big. They're too big for us to sell. We got to go. Our ICP is more companies that are mid cap companies, like mid market companies,
Okay.
companies between say 100 million and 2 billion. That's a better target. We can't go day one, start our company and go down the street to Bank of America and try to sell something.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. So you have to learn. Those things get learned over time, and so you got to continuously adjust, on what that is. But anyway,
That makes sense.
so the business plan is what drives the shared behavior of the team. Even if the team is 2 people to start. You sit down, you go through that business plan on a monthly basis and confirm and affirm and modify so you continually get better and better at what you're doing. And then the last thing, where are we at on time? We good?
Yeah, we're great.
We're about
I think about 35 minutes.
Okay, so we're wrapping it up. This is something that I just want to. This is not necessarily for everybody, but this is something that I'm a strong believer in. So in one form or another, I'm going to go back to this idea of shared vision, shared values, and shared wealth. Okay. And that is that and this is back to the idea of a higher purpose type mission, and one that is, again, serving others and being a dream maker for not only yourself, but others. And that is, if you basically make a social or psychological contract with your team. Okay. And that is this: if you share my vision and you share my values, then I share the wealth. If you find a way to make this important to you, operate at a higher level, perform at a higher level, stay in high performance mode with me, then we're going to go achieve this together. We're going to share this vision. We're going to share the values of how we go execute and do what we do from this plan. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to share in the proceeds. That might be in the form of profit sharing. It might be sharing restricted stock. It might be some way to make them know that it's about us. It's an us thing.
Yeah,
it's a team thing. It's so fundamental. Thankfully, it's getting more and more common, but people who think that when you start a company, it's like all about you and then it's like a them thing, that's never going to work.
Yeah.
That's just never going to work. Nobody wants to be working at a place where they feel discounted that way.
Yeah. Right.
I think, and that's not necessarily for everybody. There might be some people that are just starting out their careers that don't meet up with that initially,
Right,
but eventually, the people that share that vision with you, that are key to the execution of that plan, it's got to be good for them.
Yeah.
And you got to want to be, you want it to be good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that goes back to you wanting to be a person that's a dream maker, and that is part of being exceptional, part of being amazing. It's good for them too.
I imagine there's some ownership too that they take.
Oh yeah.
With the success.
Oh yeah. They're laying awake at night just like you are.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know we buzzed through that, and really the vector is all about, fun and tips and ideas and just fun stuff. But this is one that I wanted to get out there because I think, this is a game changer for people. This is how you can change your life, do fun things, all the things we talked about. Hopefully it's helpful.
Yeah, it was for me.
Makes sense?
Yeah, I love the idea. I mean, like just you talking about narrowing that initial launch to services is valuable. That's where everybody's.
You know what it does for me? It makes me think, honestly, that like anyone, again, you got to have that drive, but anyone can start their company. Anyone can start their own business. I'm not saying day one, but I'm saying if you're in your 20s and you invest in yourself, let's say till 30, and you're working somewhere else and you're really learning something that you can bring value to the marketplace, and that's the basis of your business in a highly specialized way, that means that anyone can really go do it.
Yeah.
Okay? But you got to affirm it, plan it, and all these things we talked about, and then those things will happen. It will happen over time. So
it's beautiful.
Anyway. All right, man.
All right, man.
That's all I got today.
That's great.
Thanks. See.